TheGamersTakes, presented by no one since I don't have a sponsor for the show. Today's topic is we're going to be talking about the future of eSports. Esports has been one of the fastest growing businesses overall. Maybe it's not even a business, but again, there's been sold out arenas, a lot more big time sponsors entering the scene, and a lot more players and parents starting to support their children or their young adults to the pursuit of esports. Uh, so we have a special guest here who is a Xbox esports player who participates in COD, and let our guest introduce himself.
What's going on? Name's Steven, known more around the community as Peer. Play both consoles, mainly Variant on PS4, LANs, Leagues, and I'll play some S&D or Leagues with friends from PS4 on Xbox. I'm not glad to be here. Should have a good time.
Okay, so we got the opening topic question. This is kind of more related to the esports side before we talk about the future. This is kind of like more current right now. So what got you interested in wanting to compete competitively in Call of Duty, or as a whole, maybe do compete in other games? And also, are you also a part of a team at the moment?
At the moment, I'm not a part of the team, but I've been a part of 2 different orgs throughout the season. And what has got me into COD has probably been, it started with like relationships with friends. You'd come home after school and you'd play COD. You'd go up GB ladder free XP matches. You'd grind them out all day. And I was like, hey, I'm pretty decent at this stuff, or I could probably take this serious. And so I made a Twitter account, got to know a little bit more people in the community, and it's taken me to where I'm at now, which is, I don't know. That's about it. Really, I'd say is started out. Most people start up. You play those free XP matches with IRLs. You meet people through that.
What game did you start doing these S&D tournaments, MLG? Like when
I
you
started.
tried
Oh, my bad. I started with World War II. Really, wasn't a big fan of that game, and I stopped playing about halfway through. And started getting into more tactical games like Siege, Overwatch, and through BO4, my friends, we played GBs, and I introduced to one of my favorite teammates through that, Atheist, and he's the one who's introduced me to CMG, UMG, tournaments that I've been playing.
and also, oh, actually, I'm gonna answer at the end, but that's nice. I haven't. I'm gonna kind of say my part too. I haven't really been a part of teams because of school and stuff, and it's just something that I don't think I have the chance to compete competitively, but haven't really participated in leagues. But I think I've been trying to get better, at least to have a chance where I can go to at least a LAN, even if it's like just a pickup team. Like I just want to prove my value, maybe have a chance at this. But I think it's been kind of hard. Or I don't know.
How old are you?
18.
18. Okay. See,
So
I turned 20 in 2 days, and I'm in the same boat as you with school.
So I think.
Go ahead.
Actually, let me. I think my goal is just. I think my goal this year is like going to Mount Fair. I just want to go to one tournament, even if it's a small LAN. I want to at least compete, do it for fun, even if I don't win. I just want to show that. Oh yeah, I did compete in the esports tournament. I did do this. Maybe I do good enough. Maybe I want to do this, but I kind of also the same thing. I did some GB ladders back in Ghosts. I didn't really do good in those, and then I did a little bit in Black Ops 4. Otherwise, not really a lot of competitive play, and it's just kind of been a lot more online for me. Instead of kind of you, where you do like more private matches and all, like GBs and all that.
Right.
Again, I think GBs is the big starting point.
But I think if you ask anybody, everyone has started through there, unless they've with their friends. You play GB with your friends. I don't think anyone hasn't ever done that before. That's how everyone has to have started.
Okay, so we're gonna get into the main topic. It's just future esports. I got I think 11 to 12 questions lined up.
Okay.
This first two are gonna be kind of based off money. I think the first few are gonna be based off money. So prize pools have been prevalent. Some have been small, some have been big. You go to Dota 2 International, having a $30 million prize pool, that's life changing. And some of them being small, especially fighting games. Where it's like the winner gets like maybe 10,000, and you got like 500 players
Right,
competing.
yeah.
So
Uh,
this is what I'm gonna ask you. Do you think the prize pools for tournaments will increase in a dramatic fashion next 2 years? Like,
for COD or in general?
general. You can go for COD too. You can talk
I'll
about
start
both.
with in general. I think it's solely based off the popularity of the game. Like I play non-shooter games. Like I play Smash. Uh, I mainly play other fighting games like in off season. And I've been looking into tournaments and stuff too. And if you compare those to, let's say, Overwatch tournaments or COD tournaments, the prize pools are nowhere near those to these, like, say, big name, like, multi-platform shooters or just big name AAA studio titles. And especially recently, since uh, I'll use MW as a point to say that hype is never going to die down for a big franchise. Like the MW beta was the most played COD beta of all time. And it doesn't matter what you do, these big studios are going to keep increasing popularity, and that's only going to increase prize pools for tournaments. You're going to have more viewers, you're going to have more attendees, and you're going to have more people that's going to want to enter these kind of tournaments. So my take is that it is going to skyrocket, and I don't see a decrease in prize pools until esports as a whole dies.
I think it's gonna be a dramatic increase. I think, especially this COD this year,
Especially with
$6 million
franchising.
prize pool. Yeah, it's kind of low because I think Black Ops 4 had like 8 million, but again, that was split around like multiple tournaments and all that.
I
Champs
think
was
yeah,
2
all of it
million.
combined was 8 to 10. I think it was still the most for COD tournament.
But I think we could see a dramatic. I think yeah, there could be a dramatic increase again. It's a 6 million prize pool for the whole year, but I think if you go for like separate tournaments, I think it's gonna be a lot bigger. Like even if they have less tournaments, the
Yeah,
prize
and
pool
with
for one tournament is
franchising,
gonna be really big.
you're gonna incorporate big businesses who want to invest. Um, Even just big people, just big community figures who want to invest. Like kind of like Overwatch League. If you pay attention to Overwatch League.
Yeah, we know it's big. You got big partners in there, and maybe again you got those big partners in there. You're gonna see the increase in prize pool.
Right.
Um, so next question I'm gonna ask you is, oh wait, I actually went to the second question, but what do you expect the players' salaries to be like in the next couple of years? Do you expect it to kind of be like six-figure, or do you still kind of see it being like, minimum 50K, or could you see a big increase in player
I
salaries?
see. Hmm. It's kind of hard to say because you need to put. You're talking about COD players, right? Or just esport players in general?
And we're gonna kind of go to full general. You can
Okay.
talk about COD specifically, but like kind of every question is gonna be general.
General esports. Okay. Um. Hmm. I think again, it depends on how big your esports is, how many the viewers you pool, the fan base behind said players. Like, of course, I can see superstars making six-figure checks. The oh shit, I just unplugged my controller. No, so I see. I'm not sure. I didn't pay attention to salaries this year for players, and I wasn't sure how much they were making, but I don't think anytime soon it's gonna skyrocket. I'm gonna be expecting same, but for these bigger games like Dota, uh, Overwatch, COD, League, um, I can expect I can kind of guess that the superstars of these games are going to be making six-figure checks.
Well, I think, yeah, it's gonna be hard. I think people do demand more money. I think it's the same as kind of professional sports. In the point where the top tier players get more, and some of the lower tier players get less based on how much they demand and all that. And yeah, we could see changes in salary contracts because again, they barely get known. They pick up unknown players, and then
Right.
I'm just gonna say in the small org's perspective, they don't pay salary. They just pay. It's off sponsorship. They don't have like a salary amount, but then you go to these medium and large size orgs, they start with a small one based on how, maybe you're, but as you keep growing and growing in talent and popularity, you're probably going to get a lot more bigger contracts. You want more of the salary, even if you're making a lot of money off tournaments, all that, you want to increase salary amounts. So
Right.
I think as you see more and more superstars, yeah, getting made,
The
we're going to
price
see
it'll
a
eventually
big
will
increase in.
increase. I don't think this year it will though. Not yet.
So we're not going to see like, you're still going to see kind of the minimum.
What's your
You're not
average?
gonna see like average.
Um,
Average is kind of like I don't know. Maybe some cases 50K.
about I
Based
haven't
on I don't
paid
know.
attention to the
Imagine.
salaries recently, but I'd say it'd still probably be the same with superstars making a little bit more than that, or your more big name players.
But I think I'm probably gonna guess. There's gonna be an increase in salary, but I think as like a starter pack player, I think it's just gonna kind of be the same. I wouldn't
Right.
see too much of a change overall. But you wish you but again, there's gonna be a lot more, but we just gotta see how the future kind of comes. Next question is, you heard of some of these, I'm gonna list these orgs, and you kind of know what their story is. Denial East, this is COD perspective.
Okay.
Denial Esports, Red Reserve, Accelerate Gaming, Midnight Esports. What do they all have in common?
Say they're big
If you think
flops.
about it.
They're big flops, and orgs they have. I think big issues. I know Red Reserve had money issues. Midnight had contracting issues with players. I have completely forgot Denial's story. I know Accelerate also had player issues, but oh, I don't know.
So could we? Actually, let me finish the question up. Could we see less disorganized organizations as you see these orgs, these big time orgs get these kind of well known orgs get big time investors or big time investors? Could you just see still this disorganized orgs?
um, so I would say for like well-established games that have been out and running these, or that have been out and like have had established leagues for like 2 or 3 years, like Dota League, Overwatch. I don't think any unnamed orgs are gonna pop up out of the blue. But if you take, or like CS:GO, there's not gonna be an unnamed org or any disorganized orgs because they've been doing this for years. But I think if you take into account like COD, the org finding uh, kind of system for COD is for like mindsets of these amateur players that blow up, make it out of the open bracket to league, the pro league, like how Midnight did. Is they just find someone who's gonna pay their entry. So these orgs have no like real establishment. They have no clue what they're doing. All they know is, hey, we'll pay for you guys to go blow us up. But I think that since we're now going into franchise and you have to have the big bucks to get in and to put your org on the main stage, I don't think you're gonna see any disorganization. But I don't think you can avoid the player conflicts that'll come anyways. But I don't see org issues happening anytime soon for big title games.
You still? Oh, okay. I was just. I think we're gonna still see it. I I think there's gonna be cases where it's gonna happen. I can't see it ever stopping. I think,
Right.
yeah, you're gonna see more big, medium-sized orgs get those big investors, and it shouldn't be an issue. Kind of more loyal orgs where, they make they treat their players correctly. Yeah, you're gonna see more of that. You're gonna kind of see more organized. But I think you're gonna have these startup orgs that really, you know, don't make,
They don't know what they're
have a
doing.
hard time getting money.
Right.
It's
They
just
don't know
they
what they're
don't know
doing.
what
They
we're
don't
doing with
have
the
the
money.
yeah, the funding or the sponsors as these bigger named orgs like Optic, EU, FaZe, uh, Gen G. They don't have that they don't have that the fan base, the financial backup to kind of become like rise to the top and be one of the more known orgs. And I know Red Reserve recently or they have been a pretty big name org, and this year I don't remember the exact story, but I think they like lost every single one of their sponsors. And like I don't kind of taking back to what you're saying, eventually, some point there's going to be org issues. It just happens in the industry. Like there's going to be a mishap. But I definitely can see a decline with more of these games becoming franchising instead of just scrap teams on scrap orgs make it to the top.
Um, I think, well, yeah, that's right on that point. Next question I'm gonna ask you. This is gonna kind of be based off money. Not gonna focus on money anymore. I think for the rest of the show, but this one's gonna kind of based on health. Well, it's somewhat health. Could there, as there's been more and more esports players investing, a lot more training, with these big time leagues, big time games, a lot of money on the line, a lot of stresses, wanting to be the best, and some people dedicating too much that they're having pain, like injuries or mental problems and all that. Could could these, some of these organizations, could there still be an increase in health specialists like personal trainers or therapists being involved with the players who compete
Um,
in all these stressful esports titles?
so I'd say definitely, especially when you put the amount of time these players put into the game. They spend it's like a day job for them. They spend all day playing. They're especially on tournament days, they become nervous, they become stressed. They just want to be the best at any cost. And the um I kind of got off track. We're talking about the uh importance of personal trainers and right? Or do we think there's
Could
going
we
to
see
be
an
a
increase in them, and you know, would it be like would they want to invest in these players? Like
okay.
a big population of them. Just that's a little reword of the question.
Yeah, so I definitely can see. I mean, personally, if you take in, I just think about all these big esport companies have already invested in personal trainers, and
Could we see
they've
more of them?
seen
Yeah.
they've seen the success that they do. They've seen what they can do for players. They they do their job. They help these players really stress. They help them with, let's say, body pains like these PC games. They've had many cases like carpal tunnel or wrist injuries, and they're there to help. I'd say like help them with rehab, help them with becoming healthy, and for big name games, big name orgs, you need your players to be healthy in order to be successful. And I think that personal trainers and even just team doctors are a huge part of a esports organization.
No, I'm just curious. Can you give me some examples? Because I have one that I think was kind of really,
Example of a
like, there's a case of it. An
um
organization that has done that.
I'm watched a lot of I came from Overwatch, the Overwatch scene, and so I was really big on the Overwatch League. And one of the teams, London Spitfire, was the first to get a personal trainer for their team, and an on-team doctor for like when they go to practice, or an on-set doctor during games. And mid-series, one of the players, forget his name, he had a little spasm in his wrist, and he had to sit out for like half the series, and he came back with I don't know, like some brace on his wrist and played out the rest of the series. And like if you don't take into account that you have an onset doctor or you have a trainer there to help you with that, that player's out for the series or even for a substantial amount of time.
I think players have been starting to learn that a lot more, about their physical health and mental health overall. I'll give you two examples. This was one of them was based off a video I think from I don't know where I think it was a 23-minute documentary talking about the growth of esports. And,
Right.
you know how young player. I think it was like a Forbes. I don't know, like a Forbes or some like big time news article or news channel.
Right.
So one of them was Immortals Gaming or LA Valiant in case where they actually spend time with their players and try to get their health going.
Right.
Where they hired a physical therapist and all that. Another one which should have been well known because Complexity. I watched a video a week ago just because I got bored, but Complexity was an org that is sponsored by the Dallas Cowboys, and they actually spend time with go to Baylor Scott and White, which is a well-known hospital in Dallas.
Right.
And they spend time with the Baylor Scott and White and get their health overall. You know, they fix wrist pain. You know, help with any spinal problems. And you know, they even had like listening tips, and they actually made specific gaming chairs that can help with their back. You know, help with like any sort of back pain they have.
All right.
So that was one of the cases I know.
Yeah, I mean, they're always going to have a big part in esports, especially with these mental health trainers. They play these games all day. It's going to put strain on your brain. You're staring at a screen for 12 plus hours a day. And I know I've seen a lot of people, they just need breaks because they have head pains. They need breaks because they can't think straight for like the whole day because they've just been playing for so long. And then I don't think the demand for them will ever go down. It's probably only going to increase.
Do you think they'll still invest in those players even if it's not like?
Oh, they'll invest in the players
Like
that have these kind of
regular,
issues?
like just like a top, just say like someone who's like a really doctorate, but doesn't really like is more. I don't know, just anyone like like Ivy League schools, like I don't know, like could you just see
There could be like a profession off of this, kind of, in a sense.
Yeah, there's a profession, but will kind of really hire big time specialists
would they hire specialists in that degree, or like in that?
I'm not gonna say specialists, but will they hire people from like a 4-year university who graduated at top, like you know, really well known, you know, highly rated? Or are you just gonna hire some off the books physical therapists, like just some not too talented?
I think definitely it'll probably be based off of recommendations or who they know is good based off what they've heard, or definitely these young kids that graduate from these top tier schools that want to get into this business are definitely going to be getting looked at from these kind of companies.
I think that's hopefully the case right there. I think it should be. Hopefully it doesn't turn an issue where you get in these like unknown, and you know, even there's unknown physical therapists and mental therapists, you know, they don't know what to do because they're so young, and it could be detrimental when you spend so much money on hiring them and they couldn't like perform it correctly or do what they do in a proper form as a gamer, instead of, you know, where they are trained for school at these 4-year universities for any kind of sports related injuries or injuries that involve more of like less well-known body parts like the legs, the back, legs, arms, instead of investing in, you know, some like wrist, which they don't invest, which
Um,
Could we see? I think they'll just do it. They just get the best what they can get. And, maybe it'll
this
work
is
for
the
them.
best
But
they can
don't.
get in that certain area or in that part of the body. I
I
guess
don't
you
think.
hit up someone who could help with back pain, someone who could help with wrist pains.
I think overall, it's gonna work for everybody. Again, they're
Right.
trained for school for this. I think we could see anyone do this. Even again, they're gonna be happy with more of the salary because they do get paid a lot automatically, and then they get these big time salaries from orgs. Along with it, even if they work a regular job. So, I think again, money is a big important factor in everybody's life, and I think these physical therapists will invest in it if they get paid extra buck, and it's a lot more easier than working with a patient who's a lot older and all that.
Right.
That makes
I
any
agree.
sense.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so next question I have is, what do you think of esports organizations creating big time facilities for their players? So gaming facilities slash centers for players wanting to dedicate their time into esports. And
Um,
also, I have an additional question to add to that, but let's go with that first part. What do you think about the gaming facilities?
I think it's definitely a step in the right direction. It's gonna build up. Uh, how do I say this? It would build up like team chem. I'd say you spend all day with your teammates actually there, and it's free access to unlimited practice time that these players need to be spending time on every single day in order to be the best that they want to be. I think it's definitely a smart investment and something that if these orgs that support big name players, like if you're a big name player or let's say a top tier squad that's playing for an org that doesn't have one of these, the org definitely needs to try to invest some money into that because that's what makes players better.
Um, so we could see a big increase in that. I think, especially with investors, they have a lot more money coming in. Uh, what? I guess I'm asking this too. Do you think it's better to have a gaming facility where you can just meet up and you focus on gaming at that place, and then go to separate housing, or do you prefer like the gaming house?
Oh, that's a good
And
question.
what do you think? There are gonna be a lot more game like?
The,
Do
the,
you
uh,
think players who
there's gonna be
already
more gaming
went into
houses.
gaming? No, I'm not
Hmm.
saying that. Do you think there are gonna be a lot more facilities because of the gaming house side effects? What it, there's been rumors that, you know, it just, you don't have the social time, it's stressful because you have to worry about other crap, you have no one to cook your food, or, you know, do you think it's better to
Um.
have a gaming house or a game facility,
I mean,
even if you,
that's actually a really good question. And trying to think, what would like based off of what I would want, I would want a I would rather prefer a facility, something I could just go in, get my business done, and then just I could go home after, spend time, family, spend time with other people. But I think in general, I don't know. That's a tough question on a really good topic, but hmm. My take would probably be just a facility, kind of how most of these teams are doing for games that are focused solely on events, like COD, like CS:GO. They just go in. It's like you just treat it like a job instead of like a lifestyle where you have to live there all day. You just go in there. You basically do your shift. You go there. You practice 8 to 10 hours, and then you go home.
I think some people do prefer gaming houses because of kind of it's I think for orgs they will prefer a gaming house maybe because it's a lot cheaper option
Right. Yeah,
because
I
for
can see gaming house being an
you
option
don't
as
have to
well.
build it from the ground up. Like let me explain.
Go
So you
ahead.
don't have to build it from like the ground up. Like you already have the house in place. You just have to move equipment in, and you don't have to do too much. These game facilities you have to build it from scratch. You have to find a building. You have to pay a lot more rent and all that. Maybe that's why they do invest. I think gaming houses, what it kind of needs more, maybe in their vision they do prefer gaming houses, so they can focus on business at at the local office or whatever the case is. But I think game facilities are the better move because that's just focused on what you need to do. You go to these game facilities, you focus on gaming, and then you
Right.
can leave. It's not like you're gonna have and you just leave the house. Sorry, not leave the house. You leave the facility and you can do whatever you want. Move, go back to your house. Yeah, privacy. I think that's the big thing here. Is these gaming houses? You have no privacy, and people and orgs kind of think about that. It's like, oh well, it's a cheaper option, and they forget about privacy. Annoyance, all that. You live together. It can be
Right.
annoying. Just want peace and quiet. Someone's sleeping at 2 a.m. in the morning while the other one's gaming. Um, Cranked on Red Bull.
Yeah,
I think
someone's yelling in the side
I
room.
hopefully these organizations kind of recognize that as a whole, and it has been growing. That's the good thing. We've been seeing less and less gaming houses, um, overall. But again, there's some who do like living together. It just creates more of a closer bond with the team than maybe with the rest of the. I think, for example, Team Liquid, they have multiple teams at their gaming facility in Los Angeles. Same thing as Gen G.
Gen
They
G,
have
yeah.
multiple teams there, so they can bond with other teams. But maybe some prefer only bonding with their actual team, so they don't get into big group. I don't know, so you don't have to get into too big a conversation.
You
And
just go in there, you just
again,
get
you don't.
business done.
Yeah, and also you don't have to get angry. You just handle your business. You guys get angry at each other. You probably have someone to hold you back, just in case it gets furious. So that's kind of the big point right there. I think game facilities are kind of the future. It's going to be a lot of big money. It's really high tech. There's also they also built a lot of stuff that has helped gamers. Some of them have been sleeping chambers. Complexity, I think, has done some like memory. Kind of did some like stuff on their tablets where they can improve the memory reaction time while they're at the game facility. So hopefully this does grow really big. Also, let's also have someone else for that basic question. Could we see more public gaming centers, like more places where you can hang out and game, or spend time with your team and do scrims like that, and just more to the public stuff based on solely on the organization?
Um, oh, so like little hangouts that are solely org based. Let's say
That are
like
not no that. Well,
oh, go
let me
ahead.
just repeat that.
I think I've
They're kind of not
misunderstood.
solely org based, but they're
Just
more
in
open to the
general.
public.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think especially because of now, you look at every esports is all over the news right now. It's the new hot thing that's going around right now. Everyone's talking about it, and you're gonna see people who are gonna say, "Hey, I can make a profit off of this by making a open to public gaming center. You can come with all your friends for set amount for like 5 hours and just play with them." And I know, especially a lot, because I've been to a couple lands, and they're always held at, or the three locals I've been to were held at something that was like that, just these little hole in the wall gaming facilities. Excuse me. And as long as that becomes the main target for people who are, or people interested in playing video games, or people who are interested in making, just spending time with people, it's only gonna rise. Like I can't see these hole in the wall, come walk in and play video games with your friends. Uh, Companies are ever gonna go out, especially because recently, you know who what Ishoni is? Ishoni Esports.
All right. Yeah.
Uh,
This is a tweet about that.
yeah, they've
Yeah, it's in
recently made
Texas.
their own. Yeah, they've recently made their own. What's it called? Little facility. You can just come in and play, or they'll go host. Um, the
Around.
host events at. Yeah, and I, depending on the success of this, I can see this happening for many different games all over the country.
Do you think they're gonna be the same performance, same kind of luxury as these org-based game facilities, or
Oh,
are they just gonna be kind of?
no, I don't
I
think
wouldn't.
so. No,
No, I don't think so either.
because this is for
But
you're putting for the general public and not just like 5 people.
or well, they have multiple teams there, but again, they
I mean, you're for
unless you get a
elite
big
players
investment.
who you know are gonna earn you money. You can invest that kind of money into it. But if you're just a company, you invest for the profit of other people coming in. You're not gonna get the best stuff for an open public gaming facility.
I wish we can see it kind of turn into that, but maybe it's just too
You
much
never know, it
space,
might.
you know. But that's the good part about it. Hopefully it does. I want to actually talk about a business plan I kind of thought about. You know, I wish I went to college for business. I'm currently in college, but wish I kind of done this. I want to create like a game, like kind of a game facility. You know how it's, you know, same thing. It's like a hangout place,
Right.
except there's a gym included into it. So you have to pay like just it's a cheap membership, like maybe
Just like a
15,
membership.
20,
Okay.
like a $25 membership. You can go work out in game, and
Yeah,
for as long as you want, as long as you work out. You
I can
know, you
see
want to
something
work.
like that becoming successful, especially with just gaming as a whole blowing up.
So basically, let me kind of explain the business plan. So basically, you pay like $35. I said 25. We'll increase. So, $35. You get access to the gym and you know gaming facility, which has like 30 monitors. They have like 4 separate rooms that can focus on 5v5 team scrims or you know whatever game you're playing team scrims. So you have soundproof boots, you know like soundproof and all that.
Right.
But there's a limit to it. You have to work out. I don't know if this is gonna work. This is gonna be hard to track, but you have to work out. If you buy this membership, you have to work out for a certain amount of time, just like 30 minutes. It can be kind of simple, but you know, put in your best work. You know, it's your health at your own risk, so you put in your best work on your workout. You can just make it easy, make it at least get some energy in, and then you're allowed to game. So like every
Right.
time you go to the gym, you have to spend 30 minutes there. Or you can pay a separate membership, you know, which is like you can go there every time, but you have to pay maybe $10, like $10 per person. If you want to just only spend time gaming there, you just pay every time $10, and you can game as long as you want, and you don't have to use the gym part. But you're not
Right.
allowed to use the gym part. I don't know how successful this would be. This is gonna be like a hard setup because of the gym. Like you know, people want to work out and you know doing that. But I think it'll kind of be a big investment, especially the health. You know, you might as well improve your health along the way. As long you might as well improve your health, while also you have the ability to game without any kind of concerns. So maybe host lands there, make it look nice, and all that. Hopefully that's the future of my business plan, but you know we gotta see how the future goes. If I can make enough money to invest in that, or any investors would kind of think it's a good plan, but hopefully it would. Next question I have for you is, do you think the minor league farm system needs to be improved? And what I mean by kind of farm system is, do you think these esports games need to stop poaching? Well, need to. Well, actually, no, sorry, I had this like run down. Do you think so currently what I mean is young superstars, you know, 15, 16-year-olds, underrated prodigies, are barely getting poached by these big time teams, and you know instead they're only working for veterans. Like, do you think
Right.
it needs to be a better minor league farm system, or
Um,
like how can you improve it?
I'd say as of right now, like for the games that I've been paying attention to, the best minor or way for a minor to get into. Wait, okay. I think I've misunderstood the question. You're saying how can like minors basically get picked up better? Like how can you improve minors getting picked up by these uh big name orgs, kind
No,
of?
I meant like yeah. Do you think they need to? Do you think orgs need to start looking into minor? Well,
Okay,
do you
yeah,
think
yeah.
it needs to
Then
be
orgs
improved
need to start
system
looking
for
at
these
these younger
amateur players?
prodigies, right? And
Yeah.
these younger players, yeah. I think definitely. If you mean biggest example is in Call of Duty Simp is just a known good player. And for Call of Duty, you can't play or play professionally and go to these events until you're 18. And he's been a community figure and a big name player in the community since he was 14. And once he turned 18, he was immediately picked up by orgs, by players want to play with him the second he hits 18. And I think Call of Duty as a whole has like a good grasp on how to do that by
because of the open brackets, I think.
Yeah, because of open brackets, you can't compete in the pro level till you're 18, but you're allowed to compete in the open bracket at age 16.
No, that's kind of wrong. Not in Call of Duty because you have to be 18 to still. 18, whatever the case is. Yeah, it's not
might
16.
be wrong.
I think that's different games. I don't know.
I might be thinking something, but the open bracket, the point is that it's the open bracket. Some of these games it shines light on these more unknown amateur players. And it gets to show what they can do in basically the same exact environment as the pros are in.
I think the system is a lot worse than the PC, so I think Call of Duty does it kind of correctly. Because I'll give you an example. I don't know. I think CS:GO might be a horrible example. I think CS:GO, League of Legends might be a horrible system. I think because of the limits. Because also, big thing you have to look at is PC tournament. They don't have a lot of PC lands.
Right.
Because it's hard. It's a lot harder to set up. Overall, you can't. It's a lot more expensive to set up. You have to make sure everything works and all that. Make sure every PC is. It's expensive to get your PC, like a PC LAN set up. So it's hard to kind of show up unless you're online prodigy, which is hard to be an online prodigy when there's 1,000 other people, 1,000,000 other people who are you don't get to prove your talents against some of the best at the open bracket, or even if you're in your case, you get lucky in the past before they did the new system. Where they separated, we'll call it the example, like they separated open bracket from the pro bracket. They did that. And, you had a chance to prove yourself against some of these pros if you produced for the open bracket. And, you got your name got more recognized if you were a top open bracket player for pros. So that was a great system. Although sometimes maybe there's a lot more disrespect. They still go for veterans in a lot of cases. But it was a lot more successful in cases. It worked. And you saw some of these guys like Envoy, Brack, get more recognized because of open bracket. And that's where I think Call of Duty needs to see it. But I think for other games there has to be an improvement in that, because of the reason I kind of think there has to be improvement is because of the lack of open lands and kind of more PC-based games. Again, repeat again, CS:GO, Rainbow Six, League of Legends, if they have it, I don't know. So that's just kind of where the lackluster is, and that's kind of sucks. But hopefully it does improve in the future. Next question, have for you is this one is kind of. It's much more opinionated. I think this one's gonna kind of be more one-sided. But do you think they need to have multiple leagues for a game? So just say Call of Duty for example. They have a league for PC players only, and they have a league for Call of Duty players only. Do you think they need to set up something like that, or do they just say, okay, just keep it into one preferred console? Like.
I think not. I like that take, and I'm leaning towards to yes for other console lands, but I don't think there should be as many for these type of lands. So let's say, Call of Duty is what I play. I've never seen an Xbox LAN. You don't go to a LAN expecting to play Xbox. You go to a LAN expecting to play PS4. And from someone who's been playing, who plays both consoles regularly, I've seen people who have more talent on Xbox than people on PS4. And I feel like those kind of players should get an opportunity with, say, there's two Xbox lands a year that are supported by Activision or they're supported by Blizzard, where these players who don't have the luxury of a PS4 can get to show their talents. Especially with Modern Warfare being a cross-platform game, the first ever one, I can actually see that becoming a thing this year, where you have cross-platforming lands. Where you can come with your Xbox, you can come with your PS4, and you can just play.
I think they're gonna have like a controller setup where you can play with your Xbox controller, but you can't you still have to play in the PS4, whatever the case is. But again, there could be a lot more. Again, it's matters if they want to invest in Xbox consoles for these open bracket tournaments. But I kind of want to talk about, well, Call of Duty is a good example. Yeah, you can do it for different consoles, but I wouldn't see anything kind of successful on PC. But like kind of PC-based games that do have console variants. I'll give you an example. Rainbow Six Siege. There's a mass back in the day, back in 2015, 2016, 2017. They used to have a Xbox Pro League for Rainbow Six. Then they cut it out after like maybe 2 or 3 seasons, and then they switched solely to PC. Do you think, like for PC based, I just say Rainbow Six Siege?
For PC-based games, so for PC-based games, should they also have a console-based league,
If they're
right?
like, especially if they're both popular, like,
Um,
do you think they
I
need to do that?
I think that's actually a great idea, and I'm actually didn't know about the that Rainbow Six did that, and I mean it just gives more opportunities for people who are interested in their game just on a different platform. Like I know Overwatch has done this before by allowing console players to be on their pro team, and there's 2 console players right now that are all play for this that play on this pro. My God, I can't talk. That play professionally on this PC game, and I think it's just like a step in the right direction. Like you can't just cut someone out who's good at the game because he plays on the wrong console. And I think
It's
more
continue,
games
sorry.
that are the more games that are or games that are hot on more like PC games that are hot on console like Overwatch, like Rainbow, should at least consider a console option of a pro league.
I think it's great because you get more people interested into playing the game competitively. More competitive spirit because there's more of a league involved. I think that's where you can kind of base it off. I think maybe that's just like PS4 players, for example. They have they get to play PS4.
Right.
They Call of Duty players on PS4. They play at the higher potential because they know they have open brackets. Even as these really, really, really small orgs, at least they have a chance to get picked up by these really small orgs who just pay for one tournament and all that. But at least they get some sponsorship because they're PS4 players and they have the competitive skill set. They're more driven than they'll both have equal skill set, but I think because they know they actually have the game on that, they have the console and they have that. Instead of Xbox players, have to get lucky and, have to buy a PS4 controller and all that. And, it's hard for them
Right.
to get
And if
set
they
up.
have that much passion about the game, and they're not the only one. There's a community for every game on, no matter what the console is. Like I can't like you at least gotta attempt it, see if it works.
I think also matters on how the companies, developers want to do this. Like this, for example, like Ubisoft Montreal, do they want to spend a decent amount of money to invest in their prize pool? Especially when the PC game's kind of successful, do they want to spend money and start investing into a league for Xbox, the consoles, for console players
Right.
and all that? That's going to be the big thing we have to look at. Will they actually do it? Which hopefully we can see that happen. But that's going to be the hard part right there. But again, I think imagine. I think the big thing is you have to imagine how developers want to spend their money. Do they want to spend it on setting up these esports tournaments, or do they want or increase the prize pool for the already dedicated PC league? Like, that's where they want to, imagine how they spend the money.
Right.
But hopefully, we do see it in the future where, again, especially as esports has been growing, video games has been growing, we should see an increase in prize pool and also see the split in the leagues. Next question is for you is, what do you think of franchising overall, and what game do you expect to go into franchising next?
Oh,
So give you the series that have franchising: League of Legends, Overwatch, and now Call of Duty.
Oh yeah, what was the first part of the question? My mind just.
What do you think of franchising overall? And
Overall, I'd say overall, I'm gonna give like 2 points of view. So like the view of the players that are picked up by these big franchised organizations is, I mean, one, you're just gonna. Oh my God, I cannot talk. You're going to just generate more income. You're gonna get funded by big name companies. You're gonna get donators. You're gonna get investors. And it's a good name to blow or a good way to increase viewership or increase the amount of players for a game. And then I'd say also for franchising, makes it a lot harder for new players to come into the game competitively, because I'm so what Overwatch is franchise, correct?
yeah.
Um,
Nice.
and like, cause I know, honestly, well, my mind is blank. Okay, I don't know where I'm going right now. My mind is blank on the first part, but but for the next game, I think that'll be getting a franchise will probably be Rainbow Six. It's Rainbow Six Siege probably. I mean, it's one of the most popular Rainbow Six games out right now. It's on mid
That's the only
or
Rainbow Six game
beginning of,
that's kind of populated.
yeah. It's like 2 months, maybe 3 months into year 3, and it is still increasing in the amount of players who are playing. The viewership for R6 League is almost on par with Call of Duty, and there's big companies who invest in them. There's big name orgs who have brought teams in, and just like Call of Duty, I can see it. It's in the same boat as Call of Duty. It's almost the same exact game as Call of Duty. And I can see that. I mean, it's a more tactical version of Call of Duty. A way more tactical, slow-paced version of COD.
I was thinking about when I first wrote this question down. Actually, we'll talk about the franchising overall thing first. I think franchising is a big move and a step. I think we talk about less disorganized orgs. Also, it's also makes it esports finally known. People, especially, it increases viewership by a lot. You get all these sold out games. You got all these teams that you can support. A lot of these famed orgs. You got a lot of players who did it. I know I think the big disadvantage is it's a big investment. Like, I think League of Legends was 10 million, same as Overwatch as like a starter price. And Call of Duty went to 25 million. So it's a lot of money to spend in it. But I think in the long run, it just kind of makes the community a lot closer. And you got different opinions on how you want to support your team. Also, I think the city base, I like that because you can support your city. Like,
Right.
It's nice to have a team in your respective city or area that you can support. Instead of having to bandwagon orgs. When they end, it sucks. But you got full commitment. And also older population or someone who doesn't really know that much. Oh, sweet, there's a Call of Duty team. Oh, there's an Overwatch team based in Florida. There's Overwatch team based in Paris. Oh sweet. Now I got someone. I got something to
But
do.
I got something to
Or
watch. Like I can support these guys because they're
it's the
they're
full
basically
city,
my team. Same way as football, that's my team. They're from my city. They're from my state. I'm gonna support them.
and that's the kind of great thing about it. But I think again, it's just the money is concerned. Also, just yeah, you're right. That it just I don't think those academy situations. I give an example. I think Overwatch contenders. I don't know how successful that will be. Getting these top players, but again, it has worked. But I think League of Legends probably doesn't have a great system where I think a lot of the League of Legends players don't ever get dropped from the main team and get placed in academy, or the other way around where they get academy players get picked up. It takes a long time. It's kind of like other games too, but you know that's the hard part about it. Like you prove a lot of your talent, but they still want to go with veteran leadership. Um, and let's get into the next game that I think will have franchising. I first started around Rainbow Six. And the reason I did not go with Rainbow Six is I know it's popular. I think it's really growing esport. It's a really growing game. I just can't really see it. I think it's just too small. It doesn't really have, the population of League of Legends, Overwatch. People question the community is. I think the community is really supportive in the game. I think unlike Call of Duty, but I
Yeah,
think
the
it's
COD
just too
community.
small. There's too. Well, yeah.
They do not like any game that comes out. It doesn't matter.
But
It could be what they asked for. But yeah,
I don't know.
go ahead. I
It's just too
detracted.
small. I don't know. It's just I can't. I wish it was possible. It would be nice, but first thing, there's too many lazy investors, and they don't have a lot of major tournaments. They don't have a lot of tournaments over. Well, I'm probably gonna be the same thing as like Overwatch and League of Legends. They don't have a lot of open bracket tournaments where
Right.
they get to compete. But there's a lot of leagues in there. You got the NA, EU, LATAM. It's hard to get. I think also just with franchising, it's a hard game because I don't think people want to invest in a game that could end in a couple years. Because we don't know what's the next Rainbow Six game, but maybe they'll keep it the same for how many years they have and all that.
They never know when the next
Um,
Rainbow Six Siege or the next Siege kind of game the Rainbow Six will put out. And I
I
don't
don't
know
think
if
that's
that's
too much
coming soon or
concern,
not.
but I wouldn't think so. I think we just keep it the same. But I don't know. It's hard to invest because of the multiple regions. I think League of Legends kind of succeeded incredibly with kind of they have many leagues. But again, that was a really heavily developed game. It was one of the most popular games on Twitch. One of the most well-known games overall. One viewed, played, and Rainbow Six is just not heavily played. They barely average, like I think per stream, they barely average like 12 to 13k unless the Pro League comes out, which only gets up to 20k. So it's because it's not a big viewership. I think just and we're going with the viewership part, and I think the regions. I think it's hard to invest. Like if they're gonna do like a system like League, I can't see them doing a city system. There's no Ubisoft game that has ever done franchising. No, I don't think any ESO based game has done franchising. But I think overall, I think the LATAM region is gonna have too many investors in it. I don't think they want to spend 10 to 12 million on it. Even with other teams too, because of how I don't want to say unbalanced, but how unfair like the system is. There's regions that are really top heavy. I think Europe will dominate the scene too much when you go into these big world championships. Again, there's only two majors per year, so it's not a lot of tournaments, and that's all I gotta say. I don't think that game's gonna work. CS:GO has been one of the games that I think could have worked too, but the problem is, I think the CS:GO system's already great already because they have a lot of tournaments, and there's no point of franchising. Um, and secondly, I think Europe will. I think you're gonna see Astralis dominate the competition, and also kind of the questionality of how expensive CS:GO investing into CS:GO esports is, because you saw a lot of big orgs drop out of it. NRG transferred their roster to Evil Geniuses. Like, the NA scene is too lackluster. You're not gonna have a lot of investment there. It's just gonna be top heavy on Europe. And the game I'm gonna be going for is PUBG.
I
And
haven't looked too much into the PUBG scene at all,
and
but
the reason I'm
I
going with
can see
PUBG
it.
and the reason I'm going with PUBG is because of what I watch on Twitch. There's a there's okay, so this one's kind of similar to League of Legends. You know how I questioned the regions thing for Rainbow Six. First thing, it's like a lack of teams. But this PUBG, this is something that could have a high possibility of doing it, but I can't really, it's a high possibility, but the problem is there's a lot of teams involved. It's not. So you got the NA scene, you got the EU scene, you got the Asia scene. You have free, you got free sec, or APAC League, and maybe you got Latin America. So, again, there's a lot of big orgs that invest into PUBG. There's barely any orgless teams, um, in regards to NA and EU. So teams they like how the setup of PUBG League is. The system's fair. There's a lot of creativity. It's really intense. A lot of team based. It's not based on, well, maybe it's a lot more luck. It's a lot more strategy than kind of Rainbow a little bit. Because Rainbow, I think, to be honest, if you can hit your shots, that's all you need to do a lot of times. Um, and it's a 16. Again, there's 16 teams. There's barely any orgless on the NA and EU side. Probably a lot more heavy on the Asian, APAC, and LATAM sides with orgless teams. But you could see it, even if it's a small investment. Maybe a million or two. There's a lot of money in place. Even if they don't pay the same as where you expect League of Legends and prize pools and all that, it's a decent amount. Um, and I feel like that's a league I can see really a lot of success in, but it's gonna matter in the regions. I'm gonna say regions again, and also would they do it for a battle royale game that has not really been heavily popular to the overall public and really well known, because in battle royale games, Fortnite, which I don't know if Fortnite's gonna exist after today.
After today, what happened?
Um,
Yeah.
um, but I think PUBG could be the next game. So next question I have for you is: do we expect the esports? Do we expect esports players to get younger and younger, or do we expect them to have their come up or rise at the same age, which is usually 18 to 21 years old?
Um, I'd say it depends on, of course, the age requirement of the game. So, COD, CS:GO, Siege, 18. I don't know age requirement for like League, Dota, but I would say, especially recently, because recently these kids have been blowing up, being called like, I don't know, they're getting their chances with pro players, they're getting opportunities to play for big orgs, and I can see the age level probably being around maybe 16, 17, 18, but I can't see anything more than that.
I think we're gonna see the same. I don't know. It's just kind of.
Like, I
I
can't
think
see some
the big thing.
24-year-old coming out of nowhere dominating a game
Well,
after
yeah, you
nobody's
can
heard of
see
him.
that possibility. Yeah, you could see some older players if they want to. I think you could also see kind of an increase in older players. I think because knowing how much they can make, especially coming off of college, maybe
That's
they
true,
got a
yeah.
college degree on the side. It's hard
Might
to
as well
find a
give it a
job.
shot.
Yeah, you might as well give it a shot if you spent a decent amount of time in college playing. I think you have a chance, and also with the addition of collegiate leagues
Collegiate team, yeah. I
coming.
know a lot of college.
Yeah,
My college, the college I go to, has an Overwatch COD team.
and I'm missing a knife, but yeah, I think we could see a lot more older population. I think because of the increase of college leagues, but I don't know. It's hard to see a younger population. It's a Fortnite. I think is a heavily example because of how there's a lot of young players. Again, 16-year-old Booga won 3 million.
Yeah, and well, he was
So yeah,
16, right?
yeah, 16 years old. So
Won 3 million, then went to
um
school 2 days later.
um so yeah, we could see a big increase. Rocket League, I think Rocket League has a lot of players who are 16, 8 who have been pro since 14. They don't have a limit. I don't think they have a limit on their age. Maybe it's 13. I think also maybe they have the age limit because of what game they can oh, sorry, I'm having starters right now. Participating in. I think any kind of shooting games, they're gonna probably have the age 18 limit. But I think any games that kind of a little bit more less gory, less over the top on extremist shooting, non-shooting games, you could see a decrease in requirements of the startups of esports players. Like maybe they can start at 13 instead of having to wait till 18 to have a chance, and but I think it's just gonna be the same. I think also, do these orgs want to invest in someone who's a little bit less mature?
I agree. Someone who has a basic understanding of contracting or signing. Just want to go pick up some 15-year-old kid who's nasty. You want to pick up someone who has an understanding of what they're doing.
Well, again, they have a lot more lawyers kind of investing in that. So this next question is kind of a big one. This is, I'm gonna have this kind of prone after I kill this guy. I'm gonna have the promo, but let me die here real quick. Okay, so especially we're gonna talk about multiple games here. Especially with how much time teams and players tend to practice. Scrim practice overall to improve their skills in over game. But sometimes they only play a limited amount of games. Especially some of these teams spend 10 to 15 hours a day practicing, and they only play 10 to 20 games per season. Call of Duty, 22 game season. That's it. Rainbow Six, 14 game season. Each season 6 months. Rocket League, this is another example. They only play they have a 7-game season. They play in a 1-month stretch, and then they have breaks for 3 to 4 months that they can scrim. Do you think these leagues who do have who do have games need to kind of improve their schedule? Do you think they need to play more, and instead of having these big time breaks to practice a lot of times? Or you think they need to keep it the same where have a limited amount of not a lot of games, but you have a lot more practice time?
I think it, like, cause I mean, you were mentioning games, yeah, right? You mentioned COD is what, 22. What was Siege was, yeah, Siege. Well, I don't
14.
remember. Siege was 14.
14
Rocket League
for
was 7.
6-month season.
And I'm the only what makes sense to me is it depends on like viewership, like who's gonna be or who's watching, how many people are watching. Like, of course, I mean, if you have a big game that's gonna get a lot of viewers, you're gonna want more you're gonna want more people playing, more games, longer seasons, less break time. So, I mean, I would say I don't know how to word this. I don't know how to word this, but like, I would say like depending on the game, depending on the fan base of the game, so like a big game, like let's say Dota, League, COD, Overwatch. You should expect a long drawn out season because of the support, the viewership, the fan base that like if there's a like. How do I explain this? I don't know if you like understand what I'm saying, but
Yeah, kind of viewership.
like the
This is a
the
big
main point
factor.
of these leagues is to make money. Always, you want to make profit off of this, and if you're gonna have that many people watching, if you're gonna want, or that many people watching, that many people paying to show up to watch, that many people paying to go to events, you should you should run longer seasons. You should have more games.
I think overall I think some of the games are just too short. Sorry, not games. Well, some of the game seasons are too short. I think they have too much time off. I don't think they should have. Again, even if I think you can spend enough time to practice over a weekend, you miss like it shouldn't be a month off of league games and all that. Like 3, 4 months off league games, and having a big spread.
Right. Yeah, even from the player's
Um,
perspective, like they just want to play. They want to play that
they
match
want
more
to
than they want to
compete, and they
scrim.
just
Yeah.
they put too much limitations, and also kind of the viewership part. I don't think you're kind of right in that. I think kind of where, yeah, I I don't think you're worried about the viewers because the esports, whatever game you're competing as esport, the esports competition in a video game is gonna attract a lot of viewership. I wouldn't like I can't see a popular Twitch like well maybe some cases like a Twitch streamer who doesn't compete have more viewers than a, a competitive league in that respective video game, a
Yeah.
well-known
Yeah, I see what
competitive
you're
league.
saying.
So I think they want more games. It increases a lot more viewership. It gives people more interested on days that they're bored. Um, I think it helps. I think also big things helps they put them on the weekdays. Instead of the week. I think kind of you. I think you just have the weekends off. Like I think good example Call of Duty. If they actually included more games, like 22 game season, that's just too small. Especially how much time you have off a lot of times. Especially we go this year. Probably the end of March to the end of April. Well, they were rotating rosters around, so but again, you should still it shouldn't be too many team issues. You can even that there shouldn't be so many breaks. I think the problem is why these leagues are so short. Kind of is because maybe sometimes there's a lot of roster switches and they need more time to practice. Although some teams already have developed rosters, they just need to improve on their skills. It I think just starting on a new whole system with that one or two new players kind of causes the leagues to be more spread out. Which again, I think Call of Duty works for example because it's a technically new game every year. I think Call of Duty says with those roster switches, yeah, that's kind of where you do need that stretched out time because it's a new game every year. But I think especially for a first year of a game, like you just say, or for example, Overwatch, the competitive scene, they start off with year one, they have competitive scene, they make roster changes. Yeah, you probably do need that spouse season, but if this game has been out for multiple years, you should understand everything. It just matters in how you improve. It's just teamwork based. It's what can you do as a team to make this system work, which shouldn't be too hard. I think I don't like Rainbow Six. I think it's a horrible example because they have 14 games over a 6 month season, and they do two per week. I wish they'd done
Yeah,
more.
that sounds terrible. Wait, only two games a week, so like your team could like not play
Well,
for like
well,
four
this
weeks.
well, it's a 6 month season, and then
Jeez,
they spent
that's
like
drawn
okay,
out.
so I don't know how much play. So basically, this is kind of like 6 months. So I'll explain Rainbow Six situation. So they had a Pro League finals in May, and then they get a month off after the Pro League finals till season 10 started.
Right.
A month off. Well, again, there's a lot of roster moves, but again, that's a game where I think it shouldn't be hard. Again, you just have to learn new strats and all that. But people a lot of times understand the strats. It again, you have practice time. People scrim. You practice on all the maps. You should understand how the system works. Like you should know understand every gist of the map is just kind of how much creativity you can get. But and they have a month to practice, and then they start the season, and then they play two per week. Then next week they play two. Next week they play two, and then they play a month of like games. They play 7 games in a month, maybe. So it's different for every region. Just say NA they play Monday and Wednesday nights. LATAM they play Wednesday and Friday nights, and then Europe they play Monday and Friday of that week, which is disadvantage for those NA and LATAM teams because they play a game and then they only have 2 days to kind of prove their skills for the next game, like fix their issues for the next game. But good thing is they play a different map. But I don't know. And then they have a month off before there's a major. There's a major in between. That first half of the season ends. They have a month to practice, and then there's a big major that happens. If you made it to the major, you practice for a major. If you didn't make it to that big major, which because they have a limit of 16 teams, if you didn't make it to the major, you automatically, you just practice more and more, which a lot of times, even if how much time you spend practicing, not prepping for a major, they still suck somehow. But I gotta be honest about that. But and then after that major they got another month off, and then they do that 2 per week again. And I think it's just too long a season. I think the gaps are too big. I think just because of those major gaps, like 1 month to practice for a major, you might you got other days you can practice. You might as well practice for a major anytime. I don't think you need to have these big ass gaps because you're practicing with NA teams. But again, your talent. So the season should be shorter. There should be a lot more. Just should be like a 3 or 4 months. I think just like a 4-month season, like 3 seasons per seasons per year, like a 4 months period. Like one season is 4 months. I think that's good. Instead of like having half the year dedicated to one season. So that's kind of where I think the system needs to improve, and I think it's for other leagues too. Also with CS:GO, this is kind of more based on ESL Pro League, where they play. They have 4 teams in the group. They play each team at once. If you lose all 3 of those games, you automatically get relegated. You go into a relegation. You go to relegation, and that's it. You only play 3. It's only a 1 weekend period, and then they have a big space in between. But again, CS:GO, they have a lot of majors. But again, there's a lot too much of a big gap between all these teams who don't constantly get invited to majors like Liquid or Astralis and all that. So that's just a big disadvantage in that gap. So I just think again CS:GO is a really old game. Was it 7 to 8 years old? So people should know every gist of it. So these seasons should not be so dramatically long and limited to only 1 weekend, because you can suck in 1 weekend. It doesn't it's a marathon, not a sprint. That they're treating it like it's a sprint. So that's where the system's horrible, and I think shorter seasons, more games is kind of where you or just more games in a season. Just even if the season's just say it's a 6-month season, at least have more games and not have it so spread out overall. That's all I gotta say. Let me go get my charger real quick, but I'll ask the next question. This is actually the last question I have for the esports. This is. What do you expect esports would be like in the next couple of years, and could it be more popular than all the other NA sports leagues, like NFL, MLB, in revenue or viewership?
I'll start with the take on the second part. I could see it maybe having more viewership than these lower view sports, like let's say hockey or something like that, because these video game leagues are most of the viewers you could see are kids 16 to 18, and that's a big portion of also people who just watch sports. So I can see it passing up these smaller sports, but I can't see it competing with something like NFL, NBA. Oh, excuse me.
It's just too popular.
And then, yeah, no, that's you can't just take the viewership away from those two, like NBA, MLB, and NFL. Those are the three big dogs of just TV in general. And then, could you repeat the first part? Because
What do you
my
expect esports? What do you think esports will be like in the next couple of years
next.
overall?
Oof. Um, I think COD right now is the guinea pig to where if COD becomes extremely successful, it'll become the standard will become franchising, and you'll want to franchise. You'll want to franchise. These games are going to want to franchise if COD becomes more successful than what it already is. And hmm, what else could happen? Trying to think of these other games that are like games in the future that could come out and how they're going to take on esports. And I'm focusing too much. I'm trying to. I don't really know. I don't know. Like I feel like it could go anywhere, honestly. But depending on how COD does and how future games want to take the route that COD is taking, you might see a more franchise-based esports, more franchise-based esports for other games.
Um, Also, let's add to that. Would would it kind of would the scene kind of have rivalry, like just like other sports, like there's trash talk banter based on fake
Oh,
teams. Just I
would
just go example, Michigan State.
oh
Like, could you
absolutely.
see more
There will
rivalries
absolutely,
with the
but
franchising?
with absolutely. Oh, there's already that kind of banter with just organizations, with just people being fans of orgs. I feel like it'll heighten that more, and then that is also what's going to get more people into it because it's that I would say you could word it as it's that rush of supporting someone or being a fan of something that you want to watch, or more people are going to want to be able to do the same kind of thing.
Let me kind of talk about this. I think esports will keep growing. I think it's gonna be kind of a. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be in the exuberantly fast pace. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be. I think it's just gonna be like a standard pace, right? Where it's just gonna grow steadily and steadily. But I'm just not gonna see it blow up from one, just blow up in a dramatic, over the top fashion from just saying 2019 to 2020. I'm not gonna see like it grow by like 50 times or that amount. I'm not gonna see that. It's just gonna grow steadily because it takes time to develop and the older population getting used to it. Especially, yeah, you talk about franchising. Yeah, Call of Duty, that's gonna be the guinea pig. But you got other sports like Overwatch and League of Legends. Yeah, it's franchise is gonna be a big thing on how successful the esports business and will be, and would you see more of these investors, more franchising happening? Um, will the overall public, ex- overall public that do not understand, will they start supporting it, even if it's something that's a little bit out of their comfort zone in regards to sports and all that. Um, but I think, yeah, we could see a big. I think franchising be an important role, and imagine how that Call of Duty does. So that's kind of, yeah, you're right. It's the guinea pig factor. But I should just be a big increase, and I could see it take over. I can't. I can see it take over every league except NFL. Um, I think NFL is the most straight out American sport, and they accumulates a lot of the population. And I think I think sports are kind of more popular than esports.
Right.
And NFL, they have a lot more older. We're always like older, more mature fans. Everybody knows NFL. Everybody goes over there on Sunday, but it is a lot more parties, a lot more social aspects in, well, there's just a lot more sociality into esport. Sorry, regular sports, but again, you can see that having esports. But I think at the moment, the social factor in NFL, NBA, people hanging out, you could see that a lot more than kind of more the private lifestyle that esports does. Like I don't, people like watching sports together, but they don't, you talking about esports, competitive gaming, they don't like watching, they want a lot more privacy in it. So I just can't see it taking on NFL, but I think you can see it take over the NBA, NHL, MLB. I don't think anyone watches NHL. I don't think anyone's really watching
Like
what's
golf,
happening in the
like golf, NHL,
ALCS players.
tennis, volleyball.
Oh yeah, they'll beat those sports by a long shot. And I
I
think
mean,
NBA could be
it's
a
only
close one.
increasing right now. Like it is still on a steady increase of people who tune in to watch. Like, yeah, what's it called? It's getting on mainstream like television channels. Watch League gets aired on ESPN. Like
You think it'll be
it's
more consistent? Like with
um
these
these other
esports being broadcasted on TV?
I feel definitely yes. Right now it's the talk of every like East like I don't know how to explain it, but like esports right now is the next big thing, you could say.
Yeah, I think it's the next big thing. But also talking about like the sports channels and all that. Almost got turned on there, but I think it's gonna be hard to get the public because some besides NFL, I don't think sports are that violent. But when you kind of include, I think Call of Duty, for example, a really heavy shooting game that will the general public allow to have on ESPN. Di- Overwatch League does Disney XD, but I don't. Well, that's a lot. It's more of a cartoonish game, but we won't see us to see it on like we can't see that on you know Disney XD called. Oh my God, that was a nice triple.
That was
Um,
nice.
like on Disney XD, we won't see Call of Duty being broadcast on it. I can't expect to see on ESPN too heavily because they don't. It's just based on sports, and they don't want to include like a shooting game on that. Um,
Like a
so
high violence shooting game on TV.
yeah, they won't do it. So it's gonna be hard to get it on the TV landscape, and there's a lot of people older population. They watch TV still. Um, so that's the big problem. I think I can't see it passing because of the TV thing, limitations, and also kind of the social aspect of it. But I think the big thing about the future esports is, can it get, with the game population you have right now, could it just be more directed? Can it be more well known to the public, the overall public who want to learn something different and learn something new? And that's kind of where we ended off. I think the overall point of the whole topic, the future esports, is the public. That's going to be the big factor in the esports growth. And that's gonna be the main topic, which we talked about the future esports. But I got one more topic to talk about as we kind of finish this somewhat intense search to destroy game. What is the This is kind of more for you as a closing topic. What are your plans in your competitive future of COD in the next
My
year?
plans the next year. Well,
What do you?
you know already, as we talked about earlier, I'm attending the iShoney Geek Leaks LAN in November. Um, I've been waiting, like most AMs have been, for the Call of Duty to announce their path to pro and how they're going to basically take that on.
They have no bracket tournaments.
They are having open. It's going to be the same thing, just open brackets. You dumpstered on that kid, and
Yeah. I think that's what they said.
I mean, basically, I'm just gonna try my best to, like, so my ideals are, I'm taking this next COD very serious, MW. I plan on going to almost every LAN event I can, try to get my name out there. That doesn't work out. I'm going COD. I'm gonna basically these next two CODs. I'm gonna be going all out, trying to basically. I was like, I have my name is kind of out there. I have three lands with two lands with friends, just to basically have the experience, and then one with an actual team that I got top four with. And like my name is kind of out there, but like I plan on getting my name out there, trying to see can I make it big, can I do something I've been trying to do since I was a kid. And if that doesn't work out, gotta focus on life. But I just plan on going to every major I can try to go to. If that's what Path to Pro ends up being, is just major open bracket events, and going to most of the locals I can that are here in Texas.
Oh, you got a lot of locals in there. Um, I think I kind of overall goal. I think even this um I think I just want to go to a land. I think compete in the land. Even if it doesn't turn, I just want to kind of feel that excitement. That rush of competing competitively. That I've been interested for a couple years now. Even if it's maybe you want us to see that. Yeah, I do. I want to make a name myself. I want to put in the best effort. Even if I lose, it was nice to compete. It was fun to have that adrenaline rush. Against other teams who have the same passion as you. Um, I kind of also want to attend. Hopefully, when they announce the home games for the COD League, like, well, you got
Oh yeah,
Dallas
I'm
for your
excited to go to
situation.
that. That's going to
So
be
whenever
fun.
that happens,
I wonder if they're
so
gonna
I want to visit. I
do
want
it
to visit.
Overwatch style, or if they're gonna, like I've seen, they're just gonna have arenas in all the cities, and it'll be like home and away games.
I don't know how to.
And that would
We
be
don't know how to
interesting.
set it up because there's gonna be a lot more details on it. But
Right.
I kind of want. I don't know. I just want to go one of those tournaments. I wanted to go to Miami this year, but kind of unfortunate timing.
I was
Um,
able to go to Fort Worth. That was before I was playing competitive, though. I just went as a spectator with some of my friends.
Um, I think just me, I want to compete overall. Maybe make a name for myself, even if I don't have a lot of time to do it on my hands because I've got school, college, and all that. And kind of actually go to my first tournament and just kind of see what the environment is. Being a part of that passionate Call of Duty esports community. And kind of supporting as kind of the next big step. And I kind of want to see if I can be able to get some kind of a management role. I know it's kind of hard because being 18 and 19, it's gonna be hard, but kind of like get some experience in some sort with management for a lot of these open bracket orgs, and maybe have a chance to learn a lot of skills and traits along that could help me maybe in the future start doing it for a lot more big orgs or even the franchise orgs for whatever game I can as a management overall. Even can't a chance I might also want to be. This is not really on competitive future, but kind of like in the me playing aspect, but kind of being a commentator in esports. I think it'll be kind of fun, and hopefully, kind of have a chance to in a couple years. Hope I get opportunity to cast for a lot of the open bracket tournaments, or even the ultimate goal cast for the CDL, COD League, or Rainbow Six. Even if it's small or something like that, or cast for a different esports as a commentator.
I've done a fair amount of casting for like these online leagues and stuff as like a little side thing to do when I have nothing else to do. It's fun. It's definitely it's something I've been thinking about too. If I can make playing something, casting will definitely be fun.
So that's gonna be the end of the Game Takes show. Thanks for Pierre for joining me on the show. And do you want to give any shout outs before we end the stream
Yeah.
to anyone
Shout out to my big
if
homie
they
in
view?
Boston, an atheist. Love y'all. And oh, I just spilled my water everywhere. Uh, but yeah, shout out to them.
It's gonna be on a stream. Thanks for watching. We'll have give you guys a update. I'll give you guys a quick update on the next 2 weeks. Next weekend we're gonna have another topic talking about that is gonna kind of be more of a surprise. Could be interesting. And then during the 25th, 26th, 27th, there will be no Game Take show since I'm gonna be playing COD Modern Warfare the whole week,
Yes,
the whole
sir.
weekend. So yeah, that's gonna be on stream. Thanks for watching. Bye.